Alright guys, now that we're done with building the ship and the base, well, we're not done with the base yet, we still have a lot that we have to add to it. We're going to get back to building all of the vehicles that come with the Thunderbird too. Now, we've already done the mole. So, next we're going to start on the excavator. Now, the interesting thing about the excavator is that they made it all out of transparent parts. Don't know why, but they did. So, we're just going to start cutting our parts out and then putting her together. Now, the excavator is interesting in the fact that it's a two-piece body. And then it has all these little arms and the shovel that sits in front of it. So the first thing we're going to do is assemble the two-piece body. We're going to see what we have to do in order to get this thing painted correctly. Now we have our tracks, we have our wheels. We have our arms, which we have to clean up a little bit. Right, guys, when you're putting this together, the shovel part of the excavator itself is a little tricky, as you have to make sure you get all three of the arms lined up equally if they're going to go into the excavator itself and have this thing sit straight. I haven't glued anything in yet because I still want to do all of the painting that these things require, but once you get them lined up, you can get them into their mounting hole there for the excavator. Now remember, the one in the middle is different than the other two outer arms, so try not to get them mixed up, as it's pretty easy to do when you're looking at all these transparent parts. Oh. And try not to drop it. I've got a lot of research to do on colors for these things, much like I did on the mole, as I'm not really sure what they look like. All of the individual vehicles. Now luckily there are no mold lines on the body of the excavator itself. We're just going to mock it up right here so we can just get a look at what exactly we're dealing with. And there it is, guys. There's the excavator all together, mocked up for paintwork. Okay, guys, now that we've done with the excavator, the next vehicle we're going to build is the domo. Now, interesting thing about the domo is that the chassis is exactly the same as that of the excavator. So what they did was that they just reused the same mold, the same tooling, and created a second complete excavator model. So what you're going to do is you're just going to use the upper and lower sections of the chassis of the excavator, and you're going to add the arms for the domo to this kit, which means you'll have a combination of transparent and colored plastic. But since we're going to paint it all anyway, that won't really matter. And then you'll just have these as spare parts. All the prep work that went into painting the two vehicles we're working on now. And right here, I'm going to show you the finished product of the domo, which is the demolition and object moving operator. Now, you can see here how our coloring came out exactly like what I was trying to go for, which is a very worn, weathered look. I didn't want it to be super bright red because I didn't want it to be very toy-like. And as we know, I'm going for a very realism. Well, I'm going for a lot of realism in this build. And you can see all the arms with their metallic coloring attached. Now, what I did do was I left the front window clear, along with the little light that's on top of the domo, and added an LED. So I wanted to see if I could actually do this before I went into how I did it. So it was kind of if it works, we'll include it in the video. If it doesn't work, then we're just going to pretend it never happened. But this is really a very cool little vehicle. And we're going to go into what it takes to light one of these little things up. But one of the things I wanted to talk about with the domo is if you're building this kit, you have to make sure you put these arms in the proper sequence. As if you look on the instructions, which I'm going to put up right here, the arms have to go in the correct order because they are notched for this small little support underneath the arms, where it sits inside of the center arm and pegs into both of the outer arms. So you have the outer arms with the peg receptacle on the inside. If you get them backwards, it's not going to sit right. So I learned that the hard way because I did put them on backwards because I didn't look at the instructions. And then I had to take them off and redo them. But this way, the support underneath the arms pegs into the two outer arms,
supports the center arm and reinforces this entire structure. Because as you can see, this is a little bit, thin and spindly. Now I did all of the paint work as you saw on the arms and just highlighted it with my Citadel paints, which, guys, if you haven't tried them, I recommend, get them. These things are very highly pigmented. They hand brush beautifully, and I really like them. I'm planning on getting quite a few more of them. This is Retributor Armor, is this copper-like color, which I thought would look good on the arms, and just give us another little metallic tint, a little metallic look to it. Another metallic color to put on the arms, make them a little more interesting to look at. So there we go, guys. We have our one vehicle done. And now we're going to go into what it took to actually wire that little puppy up. And the first thing that it takes is drilling a hole into the bottom of the chassis, right around the center of the chassis there. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to show you what it took to put the light inside the body, which was not the easiest thing in the world. So why don't we just get started? So let's drill this thing out and cue the music. Alright, so now we have our hole for our wires to go through. And now we're going to start with the body. Now, one of the things I want to tell you about the body is that when I decided to light these, which was of course after I painted them, because that's why I'm drilling a hole now instead of before I painted it, I wanted to diffuse the light somewhat coming through the window, so I needed to fog this glass up. So what I did was I took some of my super glue, my non-clear part safe glue, and I just dabbed it onto the inside of the ship where the window is and the glass is, and that fogged it up nicely. So that now we'll have just a fogged piece of glass. You won't be able to see directly in there, and hopefully it'll diffuse the light enough of the bulb to light up the whole thing without too much of a hot spot right in the center. Now, the ship, when it goes together, it's just one peg going into the hole here. So you just basically have to line it up, which is a little trickier than it looks. And slot it inside, and then you just press them together, which we don't want to do completely just yet, because right now I'm going to start installing the light. Now, if you are going to light these things, you're going to have to find two major sources of light leaks, which are here and here on the back of the vehicle, right by the treads here. Now, to take care of those light leaks, which is a little tough with the size of this thing, what I did was I took some of my putty and I just filled those areas with the putty. You also get a little bit of a light leak coming through the treads where the wheels are on the tracks. So that's another area there where I put in a little bit of putty there just to make sure that we didn't get any light coming through. Now this, of course, I'm going to have to paint in order to get rid of the white look of the putty there. But that did work and allowed me to eliminate all of the light leaks coming from the back of the vehicle. So now we're just going to look at the vehicle here going together. It's good. Now the chassis of both of these vehicles are exactly the same, even though the vehicles have two different functions. So now we're going to start playing with our lights. So we're going to get one of our micro SMD LEDs, because you really need the small ones going into this to do this, because there's not a lot of room in there. Alright guys, now we're getting the body prepped for installing the light. Now the first thing I did was I did have to scrape the paint off of this little roof mounted light here because I want the light to shine through that. Now let me show you what it is that I'm attempting to get to work here. Here's our LED. Now what I want is for the LED to shine through. Let me see if I can show you guys this without losing power. I just have the LED loosely hooked up to a battery.
Yeah, Elon Musk is reportedly putting up almost $200 million of his own money.
Alright guys, now here we have the ship. We'll give you a little closer look at it. And this is what I'm attempting to have work here. I'm going to have the light inside here, sealed inside the vehicle. And as you can see, it's going to shine through. Hopefully if I can get the bulb to sit where I want it to, it'll shine right through the window and through the light on the roof. So hopefully we'll get that to work perfectly. Now that's going to involve positioning the light and gluing it down right into the body in the right position so that it shines right where we want it. So let's see how I'm going to get that to work.
Okay guys, that is going to have to be as good as it's going to get. I didn't get quite the diffusing that I wanted on this one. The other one I think came out a little bit better. But you can see there, it's got the light. Looks almost like a spotlight shining forward. And we got a really nice glow coming out of the roof mounted light. So I'm happy with it. Alright, so now we can disconnect it from the power source. And now we're going to have to work on got to thread it through the lower chassis. And we have to make sure when we close it that we don't pinch the wire between the peg and its receiver. So we'll have to pull the wire to the side there and then just start the receiver onto the peg right there. And there we go. Snaps right in. And let's just make sure we have everything in the right position. There and there. And our second vehicle is ready.
Alright guys, now this is where we check for our light leaks. And we actually have quite a few. Light leaks are a lot less on this one than they were on the other one. But if we just turn off the main light here so we can see where you can see here we have quite a bit of light leakage there. Now those are the ones we have to worry about. Alright guys, now we saw where we have our leaks coming from here and from here and from the wheels in between the wheels heading into the treads. So we're going to start putting a little bit of putty in there and seeing what it's going to take to seal up all of this and get rid of those light leaks.
Okay guys, now we're going to check and see how well we did with our light blocking. And it looks like we did pretty good. I do see a little light leaking in on the side on the... Oh, look at that. Yeah, we're going to have to start all over again because I got to block the light leaking in on that side there. We're good everywhere else except there. So we're going to have to put a little bit of light blocking in there. So all of this putty work we just did just goes right out the window. We're going to start all over again. Now, I'm going to do a little light blocking using some Tamiya. Using some Tamiya flat black. As we can see now that we do have light leakage there on that side. So let's get our Tamiya flat black. Alright, so now we're going to wait until that dries.
And then we're going to try this again. Alright guys, we have the completed excavator here. Unfortunately, I kind of goofed and I didn't record the process of mounting the shovel and the arms after doing all of the work to seal off the all the light leaks. You're gonna have to give that another little coat of paint there, even though you really won't see that once it's placed in the diorama. All of the putty that I placed on the areas where the light is leaking out from does kind of look like just dirt and crud that's built up there. So, works out pretty well. Now, as for installing the shovel on this little vehicle, the best thing to do when installing the shovel is to place the 3 arms into the shovel itself, and then slowly take them and install a drop of glue on the back of the other end of the arms and install them into the 3 holes in the body. That's going to work out better because when you install the 3 arms here, you can line them up properly to get them into the body so that they all sit pretty much even and aligned. So why don't we do a light check now and see where we are with our light leaks. So we're going to try a real quick test here. We're going to attach the wire to our battery. There we go. Going to shut off our overhead light. And here we go, guys. No more light leak. And as you can see, we have our light shining right through the beacon on the roof. Nice amount of light coming through the front window. And I think we are done here. I'll give you guys a nice close-up view of that. And here we have the excavator finished. Now they're going to be placed around the diorama to give us a really nice view of the surroundings, as the light from the excavators will help to illuminate the diorama a little bit more. So it's going to be digging up some stuff. I'm going to be doing a little more weathering to the shovel. But for all intents and purposes, this part of the model is done. And I will be starting on the next vehicle in the next episode. Let's turn the light back on. So, tune in because we'll be starting on let's see what we have coming next. The radio transmitter truck and the fire truck. So those are going to be really interesting. So come back to the continuing saga of the Thunderbird 2 build. And you guys will see some really cool stuff coming on as it's coming together. We're going to start adding foliage and debris to the diorama itself to really dress it up along with these vehicles. So that's all, guys. Remember, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, because it's really growing the channel nicely. And I'm still hoping that we can get to 2,000 by the end of the year as in the way of subscribers. So if you guys know anybody who is interested in this kind of stuff, spread the word of the channel. Let's see if we can get it to 2,000, because if we can do that, we're going to have a really nice giveaway there. But come on, guys. Help me out here. Let's get it going and get the channel growing, because this is a lot of fun and I love bringing it to you guys, and I'm going to keep doing it. Basically, whether the channel grows or not, I'm still going to keep doing it because I just love the hobby. Alright, guys. I'll see you on the next one.